Now, moving on, talking of wasted money, and UK aid money to India has been invested in a fund which backs social media platforms spreading pro-Hamas hate and videos showing the abuse of women. The findings, which came from an independent watchdog, also found that taxpayers' money has been invested in a cosmetics company despite a promise to spend it on reducing poverty. Concerns have been raised over the suitability of investments by the British International Investment, which handed over £91 million to India last year, despite promising in 2012 that it would stop most aid to the country. What the heck is going on? Let's speak with Callum MRI from the Taxpayers Alliance on this. Afternoon to you, Callum. Today's news agenda does seem to be full of stories that, I keep using that phrase, you couldn't make up. There's lots of tentacles to this particular tale. To some of us, it's not actually that surprising because we've been saying for years, if you keep throwing money into economies that can look after themselves, then don't be surprised if it goes AWOL, or you put money into economies that are still living in 1506, then don't be surprised either that it might go the wrong way. And this appears to be a classic example of that.
Well, yeah, Ian, thank you very much for having me on. I think it's when you look at sort of this absolutely outrageous use of taxpayer money, it's just an example of quite how bad our foreign spending often is. Sort of everyone remembers the Ethiopian Spice Girls story, but India is a particularly egregious case, as they have their own space program. We're the sixth largest economy in the world, they're the fifth, so why we're giving them money, especially for businesses, I'm not really sure.
In terms of any official response on this, have we heard anything from whatever Foreign Commonwealth Office, whoever it happens to be, that has a say in all of this or is responsible? Who ultimately carries the can on these things?
So it should be the Foreign Office. I think there's a watchdog that's announced that they'll have a review into the spending, but this is what we hear every time. The promise to stop giving money to India in 2012, as you mentioned, yet we're still giving £91 million a year. So I don't think that this is, I don't think a review is something that's really going to change this.
And how did we discover then that this money was being misspent, Callum? What was the process here that led us to be able to unearth this colossal, not just waste of money? I mean, if it was being spent on a vanity project, that's one thing. But this was clearly being spent on some pretty nefarious activity, like supporting an app that promoted Hamas in all its glory.
Well, thankfully, public spending is subject to freedom of information requests. It's often published in accounts, meaning that even the sort of large, often more secretive organisations, often like how the Foreign Office operates, still have to declare where they spend their money. So this means when they do spend it on India, we get to see it.
In terms of where this story goes next, then, do we get to go back to India and say, look, you've been squandering this cash, it's a lot of money, can we have it back, please?
I wish that was the case. I don't think it will happen. What I would hope to see is that we abandon the 0.5% promise to spend of our GDP on foreign aid. It's meant to go up to 0.7% in 2027. I think that absolutely should not happen. But at the very least, the 0.5% should be scrapped as well.
Yeah, I think most people would concur with that as well. Listen, Callum, thank you for your time. Callum MRI from the Taxpayers Alliance with us here on TalkTV.